Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. Today, we're going to be covering is the infinite banking concept right for you? Now, as always, I am not a life insurance salesman. I don't sell infinite banking products. I just like infinite banking and I like talking about it. With all of my videos, I come up with a topic and I don't really script it. I just go to town. So if you have anything to add to the conversation, please put it in the comments below. I don't claim to know everything. And if you come up with a really good point, we'll do another video on it because ultimately, these concepts are quite complicating, and so you really have to dive into it. So the topic today is going to be, is infinite banking right for you? Now, by and large, if you're watching this video today and you're somebody who has been watching a lot of videos on the infinite banking concept, the reality is it's probably for you, most likely. Think about it for a second, right? Uh, Anything that you've ever really been interested in, ever implemented in your life, you've done a lot of research on, and the infinite banking concept should not be any different. If really what I see to be the biggest thing for people that get drawn to the infinite banking concept is for people that don't like risk. They do not want risk in their life at all. The infinite banking concept has very, very, very few, if any, real unknown risks associated with it. Every risk, at least that I can come up with, is a risk that's known well ahead of somebody actually implementing the infinite banking concept. You want consistent growth in your money. Now, I know that the infinite banking concept is not supposed to be about investment returns, and Nelson Nash would say this in his book, and all the infinite banking practitioners would also say this in their book. But the reality is, the rate of return you get in these things is phenomenal for what it is. For something that has no risk, okay, or very little risk at the very least, you are getting a 3 to 4% internal rate of return based on today's rates. That is, I mean, you look at the highest paying high interest savings account right now, you're talking like maybe 1%. So you're getting 300 to 400% of the highest performing high interest savings account. And most of these are promo rates, meaning they end. Okay. So, long story short, you're getting a serious rate of return for what you're getting, right? You want to have ultimate control of your money. What I mean by this is, you can certainly go get a loan at a bank, right? Um, you can certainly do that. There's going to be terms, which means that if you get a $10,000 loan and the payment's $500 per month, let's say, whenever you send this $500 payment to the loan and the bank, if you need this $500 back, you are not getting it back. Now, let's just be clear. If you're setting yourself up for needing this $500 the moment after you make the payment, unless you're doing something fancy, I would say that you probably shouldn't implement the infinite banking because there's probably a cash flow issue. However, every situation that I've seen as it relates to people failing financially is because of unknown variables, right? So you think job loss, you think sickness, you think separation, marital issues, you name it, right? A lot of unknowns, okay? And if you can control or at least prepare for as many of these unknowns as possible, you're going to put yourself in a much better position. So if you were to instead take an IBC policy loan, right? Well, ultimately, if you pay this $500 into your policy, well, if you ever needed it again, you can get it right back. No issues whatsoever at all. Again, I'm not advocating for it, but it is good. One thing that you also need to have is you need to be cash flow positive. Or at least the ability to become cash flow positive by moving around some of your money. And we'll talk about that in future videos. But I would say that the lowest amount of money that you can comfortably or reasonably do cash flow banking with, rather infinite banking, it's known by so many names, I would suspect is probably about $2,500 per year. Now, this doesn't get you a massive, massive, massive policy. And actually, here I will run one right as we speak. And again, everybody's situation is going to be different based upon age, health, all this type of stuff. But, at year 10, um, you have $27,000 to play with. Now, if that doesn't excite you and you're worried about the rate of return and you can't get around the rate of return, I urge you to look at some of my other videos about what an actual 3 to 4% internal rate of return is equal to, compared to stock market returns, right? You might actually be surprised that it's not so bad at all. But regardless of that, the reality is, I think this is probably the lowest amount. The sweet spot gets to where you can put $5,000 or more per year into these policies. Once you can start doing that, these policies start to perform very, 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 very well. So, is infinite banking right for you? I'm going to just give you the philosophical answer to saying that if you have put in a ton of research and time and effort to understand how this thing works, absolutely, it's most likely for you. You don't have to go, full blast at this. You don't need to put 100% of your income into these policies. You don't have to do that. Okay. You're creating a bank. Your bank only has to be proportionally sized for what you are looking to do in your life. So, for example, if all you're looking to do is be able to finance a vehicle every 5 to 10 years, then $2,500 a month or a year is going to be a perfectly fine amount of money to start putting into these plans, right? So I hope that makes sense. If you disagree with me, put it in the comments below. If you agree, put it in the comments below. I've already said this, but please do so. Like the video if you like the video. Dislike it if you dislike it. Honestly, let's start a conversation surrounding this, because I think more people need to know about the infinite banking concept and how it works and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more, and thank you so much for tuning in. Cheers.